Hello and welcome to my channel. I hope you enjoy this story. I'm going to try and upload a new story each day. Holly's Forsaken Fugue. Holly Arnold stood at the edge of the Isle of Wight, gazing at the dilapidated structure that had once been the heart of its cultural scene. The Grand Isle Opera House had long since fallen into disrepair, its once majestic facade now crumbling under the weight of neglect and time. The locals whispered of hauntings, of restless spirits that lingered in the shadows, but for Holly, a struggling composer desperate for a breakthrough, it was a beacon of untapped inspiration. As she pushed open the heavy, creaking doors, the scent of must and decay greeted her. Dust motes danced in the feeble light that filtered through broken windows. Holly sat her back down on an old, splintered bench and pulled out her notebook and pencil, her fingers trembling with anticipation. She had spent weeks researching the opera house, captivated by its tragic history. The tale of love and betrayal that unfolded within these walls centuries ago seemed almost too poignant to be real. The story began in the 1800s, with the opera house's leading soprano, Isabella Valen, and her lover, the charismatic conductor Lorenzo De Luca. Their passion was the lifeblood of the opera house, their performances legendary. But jealousy reared its ugly head when a rival soprano, Elise D'Angelo, arrived. Elise's beauty and talent were unmatched, and soon Lorenzo found himself entranced by her. The betrayal shattered Isabella, driving her to madness. One fateful night she disappeared, and rumors of her vengeful spirit haunting the opera house began to spread. Holly felt the chill as she walked through the dimly lit corridors, her footsteps echoing. She imagined Isabella's anguish, her heartbreak. The piano in the main hall, covered in dust and cobwebs, seemed to call to her. Holly sat down, her fingers brushing the keys, and played a soft, melancholic tune. The notes resonated, filling the empty space with a haunting melody. As she played, Holly felt an uncanny presence. A soft whispering filled her ears, the voices of long-forgotten performers. She closed her eyes, letting the music guide her, and the whispers grew louder, forming coherent words. Isabella, Isabella, revenge. The piano keys moved under her fingers as if guided by an unseen force. Holly's heart pounded, but she couldn't stop playing. The melody grew darker, more intense, the sorrow and rage of Isabella's spirit channeling through her. Suddenly the temperature dropped, and Holly shivered. She opened her eyes to see a figure standing in the shadows, a woman in a tattered, once elegant gown. Her face was pale, her eyes hollow. Holly's breath caught in her throat. "Who are you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. The figure stepped forward, her movements graceful yet eerie. "I'm Isabella," she said, her voice a haunting echo. "And you have awakened me." Holly's mind raced. "What do you want?" "Justice," Isabella replied. "For the betrayal that damned my soul, for the love that was stolen from me." Holly swallowed hard. "How can I help you complete my unfinished symphony?" Isabella said, her eyes piercing into Holly's soul. "Tell my story, let the world know my pain, my sorrow." Holly nodded, her fear slowly giving way to determination. She could feel Isabella's emotions coursing through her, guiding her hand as she composed. The music flowed effortlessly, a tragic fugue that echoed the heartache and longing of the past. Days turned into weeks as Holly poured herself into the composition. She barely slept, barely ate, consumed by the music and the spirits that seemed to swell around her. The opera house thrummed with energy, the ghost of past performers drawn to the haunting melody that Holly conjured from the depths of her soul. One night, as she played the final notes of the fugue, a sense of completion washed over her. The air grew still, and the oppressive weight that had hung over the opera house lifted. Holly knew she had done it. She had given Isabella the voice she had been denied for so long. As she gathered her things, ready to leave the opera house for the last time, Holly felt a gentle touch on her shoulder. She turned to see Isabella, her expression softened, no longer filled with anguish. "Thank you," Isabella whispered. "You have set me free." Holly watched as Isabella's spirit faded, her form dissolving into the light. She felt a strange sense of peace, a connection to the past that had given her the inspiration she so desperately sought. With the completed fugue in her hands, Holly left the opera house. The spirits no longer lingered, their stories told, their pain acknowledged. Holly's music would ensure that they were never forgotten, that the echoes of their tragic love and betrayal would live on, haunting the hearts of those who heard it. As she walked away, the sun rising over the Isle of Wight, Holly knew that she had not only found her inspiration, but had also become a part of the opera house's storied history. The haunting fugue would be her legacy, a testament to the power of love, loss, and the unyielding pursuit of artistic truth. Holly returned to her small apartment in Newport, the fugue's melody still echoing in her mind. She carefully transcribed the notes onto fresh sheets of paper, each line imbued with the sorrow and passion she had felt within the opera house. Her next task was to find musicians capable of bringing her composition to life, an ensemble that could capture the ethereal and haunted essence of Isabella's story. Holly reached out to old friends and colleagues, sharing the haunting tale that had inspired her work. Word spread quickly through the local music community, and soon a talented group of performers gathered, intrigued by both the composition and the eerie narrative behind it. Rehearsals began in earnest at a nearby concert hall. Holly conducted with a fervor she had never felt before, the musicians responding to her passion and intensity. Each rehearsal deepened their connection to the music, and whispers of strange occurrences began to circulate among the players, glimpses of shadowy figures, fleeting touches of cold air, the sensation of being watched. Despite the unsettling atmosphere, the musicians were captivated by Holly's fugue. They poured their souls into every note, driven by an unspoken understanding of the music's significance. As the premiere approached, excitement and tension mounted. Holly knew that the performance would not only be a musical milestone but also a final tribute to Isabella and the other spirits bound to the opera house. The night of the concert arrived. The concert hall was packed, the air thick with anticipation. Holly stood backstage, her heart racing. She could feel Isabella's presence, a reassuring whisper in her mind. Taking a deep breath, she stepped onto the stage, greeted by thunderous applause. The musicians took their places, and Holly raised her baton. The first notes of the fugue filled the hall, a delicate, mournful melody that gradually swelled into a powerful, tragic crescendo. The audience was enraptured, their collective breath held as the music wove its haunting spell. As the final movement began, Holly felt a strange warmth envelop her. She glanced around and saw them spirits of the opera house materializing in the dim light. Isabella stood at the forefront, her eyes fixed on Holly, a soft smile on her lips. The spirits seemed to merge with the music, their ethereal form shimmering in time with the melody. The climax of the fugue was a heart-wrenching duet between a violin and a cello, representing Isabella and Lorenzo's doomed love. The musicians played with an intensity that brought tears to the eyes of many in the audience. As the last notes lingered in the air, the concert hall was plunged into a profound silence. Holly lowered her baton, tears streaming down her face. The spirits began to fade, their expressions peaceful. Isabella's eyes met Holly's one last time, gratitude and release shining in their depths. Then she was gone, her spirit finally at rest. The audience erupted in applause, a standing ovation that lasted for several minutes. Holly turned to the musicians, who were equally moved, their faces reflecting the profound impact of the performance. She knew that they had not just played a piece of music, they had participated in a rite of passage, a cathartic release of long-buried sorrow. News of the concert spread quickly, and Holly's fugue became a sensation. Critics hailed it as a masterpiece, praising its emotional depth and haunting beauty. Offers from renowned orchestras and opera houses poured in, but Holly felt the deep sense of completion. She had fulfilled her purpose, both as a composer and as a medium for the spirits of the past. She decided to stay on the Isle of Wight, dedicating herself to preserving the stories and histories of forgotten places. The opera house, now no longer haunted, was restored and reopened, becoming a vibrant cultural hub once again. Holly continued to compose, her music infused with the same haunting beauty that had defined her fugue. Years later, on the anniversary of the premiere, Holly stood once more in the grand hall of the restored Isle Opera House. A special concert was held, featuring her now famous fugue. As the familiar notes filled the air, Holly felt a gentle touch on her shoulder, a fleeting reminder of the spirits that had guided her. In that moment, she knew that while the ghosts of the past had found their peace, their stories would live on through her music, echoing through the ages. and Holly Arnold, the composer who had dared to listen to the whispers of the Forsaken, would forever be remembered as the one who gave them a voice. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please don't forget to like, and even better, like and subscribe. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day.